The first look at the Zelda movie is here and it is absolutely epic. Plus, we are breaking down the nominees for the 2025 European Film Awards and a major financial boost for Ghana's local film industry. We're breaking down all these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions, both from the international front and the African scene. And thanks for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate. And in today's stories, we are covering a really international scope of an episode today, starting from Hollywood, then to Europe, and then we end in Africa. From the Hollywood story, there's an epic look of the Zelda story of Link and Zelda, and it's really, really amazing. And fans have been waiting on this for years. After the game have been, made and released to the public, finally we are getting an image or a first look as to how the adaptation of the game into film will look like. And then we also move to the European Film Awards Festival, which will highlight the nominations of all the films that are creating buzz all over the world, and even those that are likely to be nominated for the Oscars this year, for the next year event, actually, and also be taking a look as to the amount of money that the Ghana government has created into or has deposited into the film fund or will be depositing into the film fund for film productions beginning 2026. And this covers a myriad of support areas for Ghana's film industry known as the BlackStar Films. So we'll be delving into all these stories and more, and let's delve into it right away. So, with the amazing success of the video games in general, but particularly this year, was it last year, the Super Mario Brothers movie, definitely you would know that other properties within the Nintendo franchise or IP would be adapted and put onto screen. And with that came no surprise that Zelda, the Legend of Zelda, video game is the next one they are targeting. And obviously, fans have been waiting eagerly to see how that will be translated onto screen. Unlike the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is an animation feature, the Zelda movie actually is a live action adaptation of the game, and that is quite interesting to see. And finally, we have a first look as to how that will translate to be like. And there it is. There you have it in your shot is Link and Zelda with the iconic, looks, both, from the game and the bowl and all that, all the eccentricities that helps make it look very authentic to the source material. For a comparison, I may not have gotten the right image for the best comparison from the video game, but this is what, if you're comparing it to, it looks like almost canon. Yeah, almost canon. And that is quite interesting for them to have achieved that. And that is really exciting to see. So let's quickly take a look at the Hollywood Reporter, which gives us a little insight as to what this is all about. So, in the Hollywood Reporter, Nintendo's Legend of Zelda movie first look reveals live action Link and Zelda. Wes Ball directs the long awaited adaptation starring Bo Bragason and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth as Zelda and Link, set for release in 2027. And there you have in your shot the iconic figures in the game or iconic characters in the game. So it goes on to read that Nintendo has offered fans their first glimpse of the Legend of Zelda's leap into live action. Images released Monday on the Nintendo Today app showcase young actors Bo Bragason and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth as the magical princess Zelda and the green clad swordsman Link, respectively, in Sony and Nintendo's upcoming big screen adaptation. They still show the pair standing in a sun drenched meadow. Zelda gripping her signature bow and arrow, while both were faithful recreations of the character's classic Hylian costumes, complete with pointed ears. Wes Ball, the filmmaker behind Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the Maze trilogy, directs the long-awaited adaptation, which is set to hit theaters on May 7th, 2027. And that is quite exciting to see that finally we are getting another, hopefully, a very successful video game adaptation at that. And it looks like we are in the era of video games as in the last 2 decades or so we were in the era of the superhero comic book adaptation. Finally, it looks like we are in the era where video games are successful, and it is indeed exciting to see seeing what has become of very successful video game properties translated into the movies. Talk about the Super Mario Brothers, of course, and also you have the Jumanji film. You have, I mean, the Mortal Kombat film was not as financially buoyant compared to what the Super Mario Brothers did or performed at the box office. But regardless, it looks like they are even receiving a sequel to it, and it's very, very successful at that. With regards to the trailer that was released a couple of months ago, but you also have why am I blanking out on the name? But you have Jason Momoa and Jack Black's video game adaptation film as well, being that very successful as well. So it looks like we are indeed in the era of video games being very successful when adapted to the movies, and that is indeed exciting to see. I must admit. So indeed, we live in an era where fans are eagerly waiting to see all these properties translated onto the screen and providing us with some exciting news as to what they are going to look like. So it's of no surprise that Zelda's imagery from the look is indeed pointing to that. And let's take a close shot as to these characters so that we get to know, I mean, how they will really look like. And to tell you the truth, they look, I mean, it's cunning. They look between how they are in the video games and their close-up is very cunning. So let's take a look at my graphics that are designed for the for this today's episode. And on the left, you see the Zelda and Link's look, and it is really spot on. It's really spot on, and it is quite amazing. But let's go on to talk more about the Zelda production. So key factors that they are currently shooting, and they are looking at a May 7, 2027 date, and this is for reasons they gave in shifting the goalpost as to the release date, which was originally supposed to have come out in March 2027 of the same year. It said that they wanted to have more time to work on it much more so that they bring out the best that they can. And if that indeed is the case, then I am excited because we are all looking at a very successful video game franchise having come out with a very successful Super Mario movie. And it's the same company, Sony Illumination, are the ones working on Sony is the one working on that. So basically, Sony Illumination, the animation division of Sony, worked on the Super Mario video games, and Sony as well is working on this. And so it is indeed exciting to see. However, I mean, Nintendo legend Shigeru Miyamoto is the one producing the film, and he revealed the casting earlier this year, and we were so excited. And this is what he had to say: that I am pleased to announced that for the live action film of The Legend of Zelda, Zelda will be played by Bo Bragason son and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth's son. I am very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen. And indeed, it is exciting. Quickly, let me change the graphics for that. Let me bring back the epic one they displayed. Yeah. So indeed they are capturing the essence of the story in 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 its full glory, or let me put it that way, in its full epicness. And it's indeed exciting fans all over. The reaction to this particular images is exciting. And there's actually a leaked footage of the film being shot on set. I didn't want to display it here, but when you go online, you get to see a whole scene being acted out, particularly by Bo Bragason and one of the actress who is said to be featuring in the film as well. So it is indeed quite exciting. So I mean, British actress Braga San is best known for her roles in the BBC's Once Three Girls, The Jetty, as well as Disney's Plus Renegade Nell. She also starred in Euro's Lens vampire comedy, The Radley. So she is indeed not necessarily a new face, though young, but not necessarily a new face. And we also have the Ainsworth, also who is English, voiced the title role in Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio and played Miles in Netflix's The Haunting of Bly Manor. He also currently stars in the Canadian comedy Son of a Critch and appeared in The Sandman on Netflix. So though they are young, they have indeed been in the limelight for quite some time. So they bring to it some experience, from what they have been doing for so far. So this indeed offers quite some assurances as to the approach of the adaptation. That is Nintendo and Sony's adaptation, embracing the fantasy adventure tone that the Zelda video games are known for. And that is indeed quite exciting. So if this particular production matches up with the bar or the standard set for the Super Mario, the $1 billion Super Mario film, and it means we are in for a thrill, I must admit. So Nintendo's nascent cinematic universe may be poised for Hyrulean glory, just as the Marvel cinematic universe became known for quite a couple of what I say decades or years ago. So it is indeed exciting, and we are looking forward to that. So let me know what you think with regards to this particular development, seeing the first look of the the Zelda movie. What's your thoughts on it? With the first images that you've seen, are you excited for this? And do you think that Sony would be able to deliver on this particular movie? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. Now, moving from Hollywood to the shores of Europe, the European Film Awards have finally provided a list of nominations that they have been, that we've all been anticipating for some time, and it looks really good. It looks really good, and obviously there are so many films on there that are actually making waves internationally, having participated in several film awards across the globe. And excitingly, most of these films that have been listed are even being earmarked potentially for the Oscars. So let's quickly delve into what these films are about, or what these nominations are. So nominations for the 2026 European Film Awards unveiled, and this is from the Hollywood Reporter. And let's quickly delve into some of these films. Let me just go straight to the list of films that have been, listed there. I hope I can go through all of them for this particular episode. So for the European Film Awards, we have the Afternoon Solitude, um, directed by Albert Serra, are co-directed by Hugo Bienvenu. We have Dog of God, directed by Rates Abel and Loris Abel. And there are quite a lot. Maybe I should just leave the list in the comment section below so that, I mean, the description section below so that you can take a look at them. But there is quite a number of films in there, from films that are known to potentially be nominated for the foreign language film, and that is Sentimental Value, Sound of Falling, and The Voice of Hind Rajab. All are said to be potentially nominated into the Oscar Film Festival. We also have the European documentary From the Afternoons of Solitude to with Hassan in Gaza as well. We also have the European animated feature that is Arco, Two Tales from the Magic Garden. So it is quite a lot. And some of the Oscar favorites potentially for next year, I mean 2025 to for next year, is Yorgos Lanthimos for Bugonia, the Stara film for Jesse Plemons, and Emma Thomas is also nominated here. You also have Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Maskar Skinlinsky for Sound of Editing, and even Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. So these are quite heavyweights who are representing in the European Film Awards as the best director for that. Other directors couldn't be nominated because they are of different origin or countries outside the European Commonwealth. So obviously, they can't be nominated for the directors category. We also have European actresses being nominated for this, European actor, and several categories, European screenwriter and European discovery, as well as the European Young Audience Award. So that is indeed exciting to see. And I can tell you for a fact that if any of this particular categories or individuals win for this year, the likelihood of their nomination into the Oscars will be high. And not just that, but potentially even a win may be on the docket for some of them. And it indeed is quite exciting to see. So we'll be looking eagerly for that. But amazingly, they moved the dates for the European Film Awards from later of this year to the early part of next year, somewhere in January. And they cited the reason being that a lot of their films are actually also nominated for the Oscars. So they want to position it for such so that it will actually be known for that purpose. And that is quite interesting to see. And I think a number of major film awards have positioning themselves to be more like the precursor to what the Oscars would be. And that is what most of them are doing nowadays. And that is quite exciting to see. So, yeah, these are quite a number of films. And I'll be leaving the list of all these films for you to take a look at. And that is quite interesting to see. So, let me know what you think with regards to the European Film Awards. Um, which of those films are your favorites? Are there any films on the list that are your favorite that you would like to share? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section. And which of them do you think would win in whichever category there are in there? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And then we move from Europe now to the motherland of Africa. And in Africa, we come to a country called Ghana, where I come from or where I hail from. And one of the exciting things is that most may not know, but in Ghana, we've been in the film industry, or the Ghana film industry have been in existence for close to a century. And but with time, it's had this up and down from the golden era of cinema in perhaps the 60s, and when I mean even prior to the 60s, when the Ghana film I'm blanking out on the name, but the colonial masters they set up the Ghana film colony way before independence, and since then it has continued to then. Perhaps it may even date back to the 30s. So that is quite an interesting time that we've seen. But all along, there's been a number of productions that have been made. Some have been successful, others have not. But one of the major issues plaguing the film industry have been funding, and it looks like finally a government has heeded a call to the artisans or the filmmakers who have been calling on this to happen. So it is indeed exciting to see. And there is a breakdown. Let me just provide a breakdown as to what this funding would entail or would be or has to be used for. Let me put it that way. So let me bring it up. And so there on your screen, let me take out this graphics and the image so that we can delve into it properly. So looking on your screen, we have, yeah, so on your screen, we have the Ghana Film Fund, which is slated for 2020. Film industry is receiving attention from governments or authorities in the country. And these are things that stakeholders in the film industry have been crying for quite some time. And finally, we are receiving attention. And I'm happy for this because for quite a long time, there's been call for this to happen. Now, there is a difference between having this film fund um, implement, I mean, put in place. And then the implementation is also another thing altogether. And it's something we can't tell for sure until finally that becomes a reality. So we would indeed be looking at all this happening with keen attention to see how it's going to be made manifested. So I think one of the key things that a lot of film industry stakeholders are looking at is whether this is going to be implemented fairly and with clarity, with such transparency that everybody will feel justified when the right people are selected for this film fund or for the use of the film fund. So that is something that a lot are calling on. Perhaps they may have to put in place an auditing team to prove that every single CD or PESWA was used rightly. And that is something that would perhaps boost the trust of the entire film industry in government, and to be specific, the National Film Authority. But all in all, this indeed is the right direction that they have started. And I'm hoping that they do not stop there. I'm hoping that the NFA would lobby the private sector to invest even more than just what the government has given. So that is what I'm hoping for, that the private sector would be persuaded or convinced to put in enough money. Now that government has taken this initiative, I'm sure investor confidence will be a little restored to be able to participate in the film industry as a whole. So this particular film fund is for the entirety of the BlackStar Films. That is the entire Ghana film industry. So regardless of whatever sect of small film industries within the country, every single one of them is entitled to it once you can justify why you need a particular a chunk of the cake. Once you can justify, I'm sure the leadership at the National Film Authority will be more than willing to shell out a decent amount to help support whatever film projects that you may have. So, talking to my Ghanaian film fans, film crew, or film colleagues, finally we have our voices for a better attention to the film industry have been heard. And this indeed is great. So let's lend our support and let's make sure we put out the best foot forward to let the world know that we have a thriving, or if not even thriving, we have an existing film industry that is capable of competing on the world scale in terms of production value, in terms of distribution, promotion, and the whole gamut of film business right from the continent of Africa. So, indeed, it is quite exciting, and I'm happy about this particular development. Let me know what you think. I know a number of people might be a little skeptical as to whether this may indeed translate into what we are all hoping for. But whatever the case may be, leave your thoughts in the comment section, because this dialogue should not cease. And I'm sure this dialogue will continue till the end of 2026, where perhaps the National Film Authority would be given a breakdown as to the use of the money. I don't know whether they will do that or not, but I think ideally, being the custodian of this fund, I'm sure at the end of it all, they would have to give an account as to how this was managed. And that indeed would be exciting when finally we begin to see the good result of it if managed well. So let me know your thoughts by putting all your worries or your concern or your hopes or your excitement in the comment section below. And all too soon, I've come to an end of this episode right here on the Film Mandate. Thanks for joining me for this episode, and I'll be coming your way again tomorrow with some exciting news from the world of film globally. My name is Papa Otu, and this has been the Film Mandate. I'll see you soon.